FS1. Let's head over, check in with Colin. Hey, Colin, what is on the show today?
I am just reading the internet, the blogosphere, the Cleveland Browns, Super Bowl contenders, Pittsburgh Steelers, now a second-tier franchise. We'll see. Some thoughts coming up.
Thank you, Colin. Time for our final topic of the day. Steph Curry said earlier this week that tonight's game in Houston is a, quote, statement game. The Warriors are 0-3 against the Rockets this season, but they'll be without Kevin Durant tonight because of an ankle injury. So, Chris, is Houston a real threat to Golden State?
The Rockets couldn't leave well enough alone. Skip, they should have learned their lesson. Like, they have awoken Steph Curry. The sleeping giant that is Steph Curry.
With their mouths?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember last year when Clint Capella said they're better than Golden State?
Yeah,
now, they did play them tough, but they lost. Yeah. And now Capella's saying, well, it might be a statement game for them, not for us. Mike D'Antoni saying they should have said that statement game before Phoenix. And, you know, like, come on, just play your game. You're playing well. Let your game speak for yourself. Don't rile them up. Now, I will say this. I think 80% Golden State, 20% Rockets when they meet in the conference finals. I give the Rockets a 20% chance. Their best bet is it like last year, if they can get it into like a one-on-one, you know, ISO game with the switching. Because remember, Kevin Durant kind of faded away from the offense.
It was the first time in a stay in Golden State where I said, wait a second, where are you, Kevin?
Right, right. And he went in the ISO mode. Yep. And the Warriors are not as together this year, obviously, as they were last year. So maybe they're more susceptible to that. So I think that's the Rockets' best chance. But I'm heavily with the Warriors.
I'm not heavily. I'm getting more skeptical by the day. Now we had the Steve Kerr lip-reading episode in which it looked like he said, I'm so bleeping tired of Draymond's you-know-what.
You don't buy his I beg to differ with Draymond, right? I think he
made a joke of it, and then Draymond tried to shrug it off, but neither really denied it because Draymond's saying, well, coaches get tired of players and players get tired of coaches. Well, I think they're getting worn out of each other, and it seems to all circle around Draymond. He seems to be at the epicenter of this, you know, the issues going on with this team. Obviously, he and KD had a big issue, so it feels troubled at its core to me. Houston had them dead to rights last year until Chris Paul got hurt, and now Houston's won all 3 games, and I think Golden State gets a break tonight that Kevin isn't going to play because if he played and they lost again straight up, 4-0, you know, like...
Yeah, it would really look bad.
Now,
no, you're right.
It takes a little the onus off tonight. Cleveland's now favored by 3, Houston's favored by 3.5, and so they'll probably win the game, and it won't matter because we'll discount it because there's no KD. But in the end, the Rockets look... and I've been watching them a lot, they look legit to me. They play with a body language like they believe they can do this. James Harden looks different this year to me. He looks more in control and command of his emotions and himself. So with Capella back and Chris Paul back, they look like a legit threat. I'd go more 60-40 Golden State.
60-40, wow. And their defense is back. Remember earlier in the year, most of the year, they couldn't play defense. Now with Fareed, obviously still P.J. Tucker, Capella's back. They're playing good defense.
I'm an Austin Rivers fan. We've had him on the show.
Yeah,
I like him. I just like him.
He's tough.
He's tough, and he's not afraid, and he brought a little spirit to that team that it didn't have. He'll take and make big shots.
I thought about, what'd you think? I thought maybe the Rockets should sit couple of their stars.
You know what? That would be
a
pop move.
Right. Like, so if you lose, it's not a big deal, and the Warriors can't take much stock in it.
Will we see some kind of a statement? That is it for us. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. Right now, Colin tells you why Odell and Baker, not a match made in heaven. The herd starts right now. FS1 is your destination for the day's best sports shows. Tune in for the biggest personalities on the biggest stories every day, Monday through Friday, right here on FS1. Well, the other huge move in New York last night was Le'Veon Bell was going to the Jets. The 3-time Pro Bowler agreed to a 4-year deal for just over $52 million with $35 million guaranteed. Bell sat out all of last season, and he will actually make less per year than he was slated to make under the franchise tag with Pittsburgh. Jay Glazer is still with us. Jay, what do you make of this contract?
I think that it showed that Le'Veon, in my opinion, made the wrong move last year. You know, we always said this is going to be 14 plus that he can never make up, depending on what the next contract is. He really needed to make up all that lost money in this, and he didn't. In fact, it averages out to a little less than 14 a year. So that's a significant chunk of change that you can never, ever make back in a position that has the shortest shelf life in the NFL.
So it sounded like in the end that the Jets were bidding against themselves because it sounded like everybody had dropped out. Is that pretty much?
Skip, it was so bad yesterday there were a lot of favors going on yesterday amongst others in the media of just trying to help out Le'Veon Bell's guy. And yeah, there was the Jets and, because there's a lot of things that go on here. One, teams always look at it skill versus circus, right? Skill, no question. But he brought a big circus too. If he had just played last year, you're just going by the skill, there would have been a lot of bidders, I think. But a lot of teams said, we just don't want to deal with the circus. They also heard how much money he's going to want, all the different things that were being put out there. It's incredible how many teams will hear something, even from social media, and they'll buy it. And they'll go, oh, I hear he wants this. We're not going to do it. I hear he wants quarterback money. We're going to bail out. They don't even bother calling the agent. So, in the end there, I think Le'Veon, he overplayed his hand, and that's, look, I know we can say, well, he got to take a year off. You're missing out on $15 million. And also, being away from the guys, it's not what you want. The locker room, when you retire from the NFL, it's the locker room. So, dudes, that's what you miss the most. And he missed a year of that.
And Pittsburgh's locker room pretty much quit on him, it sounded like, right?
Well, it was the other way because they thought he was coming in. They truly thought he was coming in. And, they were given every indication. When it didn't happen, they looked at it like, hey, you're telling, you could tell us, be straight with us, but don't play us as well. And I think that's where they got a little, hurt with that.
So what will he mean to the Jets at this stage of his career?
It'll be interesting with him and Adam Gase. But, Adam Gase does have a very, very good offensive mind. But Adam Gase is like setting his ways. And that's really what happened with Miami. It was almost like to the owner, like, hey, this is what I do. Just leave me alone. Let me coach the team and you go on the team. And it's not kind of really how Mr. Ross is down there. But I think Adam Gase, with the way he runs an offense, he's going to find an awful lot of ways to use Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is a different type of player. He's not just a running back. He's a hybrid. He does all these different things. He's a matchup nightmare for safeties, for wide receivers, for cornerbacks. Using them the right way, he absolutely is worth the money.
Do you expect Tom Brady to show any decline at age 42 next year?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
Right? I haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it.
But the thing that Tom does that's different than everybody else is Tom figures ways to outwork the world as he gets older. What can I do? The great ones do that. How can I... A lot of guys come out of college and they're like, hey, what I did in college, like what got me to succeed there, I'll just use that in the NFL. That's not the case. You got to work yourself. You got an extra 20 hours a day to work on your craft. Tom does. And that's why, in every way possible, and that's why he's able to continue to really beat back Father Time. That's why guys like him or Drew Brees or the Andrew Whitworths of the world, their work ethic, it's just different.
So I can't let you go without asking about my Dallas Cowboys because they've been all too quiet once again through another offseason. Obviously, they're waiting to pay a whole bunch of star talent on the offensive side, and they've paid a whole bunch of offensive line talent. Do you expect them to do anything else free agent-wise, any acquisitions?
As I was told yesterday, wait for all the craziness to end. And it's not just them. There are teams with a lot of cap room who texted exactly that. We're going to wait for this foolishness to end.
Really?
Okay.
Yes. Wait for it to end, and then you'll get some good deals. I will say this. One thing, the Dallas Cowboys, they don't get enough credit because they're such a circus in what they do there. But them as a GM, they have drafted incredibly well over the last couple of years by putting in the right kind of guys, those offensive linemen, by putting in the defensive back there. They're real by bringing in a Leighton Vander Esch and not pulling the plug on, in the past, they couldn't resist temptation. Last couple of years, they have, and they've built a really solid nucleus over there.
I think they'll miss Cole Beasley at least a little bit. He's a little guy, but they're going to miss him a little bit.
But they could replace him with a similar type player in the. They're going to have to draft well. They're going to have to bring in those other weapons. Now they got a guy like Amari Cooper in there, who we're down at the Pro Bowl and they're talking like, hey, we just got to. we've got to teach him an awful lot of things. I think Amari's just like we talk, he's like, I'm good. I can eat whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. And a lot of guys like Dak and those guys down there, they don't. Those guys work. Dak works. Obviously, Jason Witten works. And I think Amari Cooper is just going to get better and better being around those guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
feeling better?
Something to hold on to, right?
Okay, it's been a
They
tough
got a
couple
good.
days.
No. Just wait. They'll add in. They don't need an awful lot. Look what they just did.
All right.
They don't need an awful lot.
You feel okay?
Not really, but I'll try.
Either way,
I tried
it's
for
better
you, man.
than
I tried for
nothing.
you.
Jay, always good to have you.
Thank
You're a
you,
busy
guys.
guy, making time for Undisputed. Next up, should the Warriors be scared of the Rockets in the West? We'll discuss.